Hi, I'm Jonathan. I'm here obviously to talk about run and what run means to me. And it's really two things. So firstly, I run a small boutique recruitment agency called Cranberry Panda, specialising in e-commerce. But don't worry, I'm not going to talk about recruitment today because that would bore the arse off everybody and you'd be out the door within 5 minutes. But it's all about run. And the running that I do, the ultra marathons that I run, and how that has really helped me, I believe, to be the person that I am, make sure my business works well, and really kind of try and encourage the people in my business to take some of what I've learned and sort of use that as well. And there's got a lot of similarities coming out tonight about confidence, about being who you are, and that's going to come through my sort of talk as well, because I think running really enables some of those things. And whether that's running, running the marathons that I do, the ultra marathons, or whatever you do, it's all about sort of being yourself. I have got a few notes if you don't mind. I've just been to Ibiza, so kind of left a little bit of myself back there, so I'm just trying to remind myself who I am. But I started running in 2001, so I was working with my now business partner, who was my boss back then, and he said to me, "Do you fancy doing a half marathon?" I was like, "Yeah, all right, sounds like fun." Went out for a run, did a mile down the road and nearly died. It was awful. Had to walk home again, but I built it up from there gradually. We then did a marathon, wanted to raise a little bit more money for charity. And then he came back from a meeting one day and said, "All right, I've been with my Aussie client. He said he's just joined the MDS, entered the MDS. And whilst they were out drinking together, he did exactly the same thing. Came back to the office and said, I want you to do it because I'm not doing it without you." And I was like, no chance. Have you seen it? It's ridiculous. The MDS, 155 miles through the desert over 7 days, carrying a 12-kilo backpack. That's until you eat through the food. And it's like, no way. So I was like everybody else, why would you do that? Why would you do something like that? But he persuaded me. We ended up doing it. I entered. And, it's probably the best thing that's ever happened to me. But I don't see myself as anything different. I'm just like a normal bloke. I'm not special. I run a lot, but it's kind of just sort of taking it on to the next level, really. But like everybody else, if you want to run, whatever you do, it's like I'm not a superstar out there. Don't win things or anything. I've been lost a few times, more physically, geographically than emotionally. I'm not the sort of person that does these runs and has like a life-changing experience. But importantly, I pick up bits along the way, and that's helped me mould me into kind of who I am today. So some of the runs, so I've done about 60 marathons, couple of 100-mile runs. Then I decided to do some of the bigger stuff. We did the Marathon des Sables a couple of times, as I've mentioned, through the desert, which is just the most amazing experience. You're in the middle of nowhere, really running from like point to point each day. I'll come back to one of the reasons why I really love running and love doing these events. And then I started doing single stage races. Well, that was after I'd done a couple in Peru and Brazil, running through the Amazon jungle, wading through swamps and watching out for the snakes and the spiders. And there's a dark zone during the Brazil Marathon, which if you get to a certain point at night, you're not allowed to run through because that's where the jaguars live. So fortunately we got through there quick enough. Yeah, that was our expression as well. You can hear them in the background, but they never see them. It's absolutely amazing. Then I did some of the single stage stuff. So that is, ultra marathon, just to explain, is anything further than a marathon over a multiple stage or in a one stage event. Yeah. So long stage, I did the Birmingham to London Grand Union Canal Run, which is 145 miles down the canal, 36 hours. It's actually really pretty. Until you get to Milton Keynes Industrial Area, which is really crap. But you go quickly through that bit, so it's fine. And then last year, which was my toughest race, which is the Spartathlon, which is from Athens to Greece. If anyone's seen the film 300, it kind of basically follows the route that the Spartans took back to Athens to kick the Persians' arse when they invaded in that age. So that's 140, how far was that one? 153 miles, non-stop. Obviously you can stop, have a bit of food, get washed or whatever, but you can't sleep. And that was sort of 33.5-hour run. And yes, I was knackered at the end of it. I had a good sleep. The question I get asked a lot, Tobias, is why exactly? And my response is, why not? Exactly, that's what I've got written here. But so I try and explain to them why I do these things and why not. If you've got the ability, you've got the capacity to get out there and see these most amazing places, and going to the places is one of the sort of the main reasons. I mean, being in the middle of the desert, no light pollution, seeing all the stars in the middle of the night, being surrounded by amazing people. In Brazil, in the jungle, you're sleeping in tribes villages, you've got the little kids running around playing football with you, getting really excited about having some company. You're sleeping on the edge of the Amazon in your hammock. It's just the most amazing place to go to visit, and you just feel like you're alone in the world, and it's just brilliant. No mobiles, no internet, you know, makes you think, do we actually need them? I'd be out of business actually if we didn't have the internet. We're an e-commerce recruitment company, but that'd be fine. It's actually really peaceful every now and again. And you know, so some of the people that you meet, and that's another sort of major part of this. So you know, so to talk through a couple of people. So I met a guy called Alex on one of the runs. This is an 85-mile run. It was halfway through the run. About night time, I set off. I was just running it on my own, and I bumped into him and a few of his mates who were running together. Alex, we got talking. 6 months prior, had been diagnosed with Parkinson's, and whilst he wasn't massively affected by it at that stage, this was kind of 2 years ago, he was on a mission, and he set up this website, set up a company where he's going to run 10 million metres, or do 10 million metres, whether that's running, cycling, canoeing, swimming, depending on kind of what sort of stage he was in his Parkinson's. And he's now done that, which is absolutely incredible. But I was lucky enough to make friends with him and go to South Africa and do what's a run called the Otter Trail in the south. And unfortunately, during that day, we didn't quite make it. His Parkinson's was really playing up. His left leg just like totally lost control. Jumped off a boulder. He fell over. I just hear this huge scream behind me, and turned around and he was on the floor. Turned out he'd broken sort of 3 bones and ripped a ligament as well. But it's people like that who give you the inspiration to carry on. I mean, you know, I can't complain about it hurting, it being painful, when you've got someone like Alex going through what he's doing. So the motivation to keep going is a massive driver. For me, it's all about mind over matter. So thinking that you can do something and really believing that you've got the ability to carry on going, and really kind of sort of pushing yourself and believing that you have the strength. Whatever your mind tells you, apparently there's a stat that when your mind tells you to give up, you've only used 30% of what your body's got. So if you stop every time your mind tells you to stop, you're wasting 70% of your potential. And that's something that you always kind of sort of bear in mind, and that's whether that's sort of work or running or anything you do. When you're sat on the sofa and you know you've got to go and even do the washing, and you can't be asked, just go and do it. Then it's done. You know, it's going to change your mind that way a little bit. And then so the final point is really how does it relate to work, and what have I learned during all this time to help with my team, help with myself. And again, comes back to the motivation, to the ability to start to prove that you can do things, you know, to really encourage people in the team to have that same mindset as well, and make sure that they're happy. Push them. I mean, I don't normally talk about. I've done a few talks in the past, but it's all been like work related. So standing up here today talking about myself is a brand new experience, and one that I'm actually sort of pretty nervous about. But I like putting myself in difficult situations, because the only way you know you can do it is to try it. I've only got a couple of minutes left, I think, so I think it's going all right, which is good. So I encourage them to do the same sort of thing. You know, I'll give them experience and access to do things that without my guidance, just to see what would happen. I mean, if it goes wrong, doesn't really matter. I mean, you know, fortunately I'm in a business, you go back to the surgeon, something goes wrong, you're a little bit buggered. Something goes wrong with us, they don't turn up for their interview. Not the end of the world, to be honest, you know, so we can rearrange that, you know. So it's looking at all these different things and how we can motivate them. So what it all sort of comes down to is understanding that the risk of failure running the runs, Tobias on the Bob Graham rounds, didn't matter that you didn't finish it, you had a brilliant experience. When I go into the runs, it doesn't matter if I don't finish it. Obviously I want to, and I'll push myself as hard as possible, but if I don't, that's fine. I can try it again, or I can do something different. But I would hate to leave this world thinking that I wish I'd tried it, rather than I'd failed in it and I'd actually given it a go. So that's me. That's what run means to me. So thank you very much.